If you love aggressive defenses, boy, I've got good news for you. The Chargers are about to blitz a lot.
Chargers bring 7 to the line.
If it's 1st and 10 and they want to stop the run, they're going to blitz. If it's 3rd and 7 and they want to get to the quarterback, they're going to blitz again. Every situation, every down, every distance, you're going to see Chargers jerseys flying into that backfield.
And dropped again. What a time to come up with the sack.
But here's the kicker. Every blitz from this team is going to look totally different week to week, while also kind of looking exactly the same, which I know sounds extremely confusing, and that's kind of the point. So just give me a few moments to explain. Unlike a lot of other older defenses, the calling card of Jesse Minter's more streamlined system is modularity, meaning every single piece can theoretically fit with every other piece, like a module. For instance, every single front can be paired with every single blitz, or pressure path if you want to use a different coaching term for it, and every single front and pressure path can also be paired with nearly every single coverage, depending on how many blitzers are actually being sent, of course. In many other defenses, certain blitzes can only be called out of certain fronts or personnel packages, and these blitzes are usually paired with certain coverages behind them. Everything is very rigid, and as a result, players are required to learn endless amounts of terminology just to remember each individual blitz that's run out of each individual front. There can be 5 or 6 dozen pressure paths to remember. But compare that to Minter's system, however, and he only uses around 5 to 8 fronts in his defense, which is an easy number for players to memorize and master. And he has somewhere in the ballpark of only a couple dozen pressure paths. I won't use the exact number, obviously, but it's not as many as you would expect. So in contrast to other NFL defenses, Minter's system seems incredibly slimmed down. But that streamlined appearance is also extremely deceptive. If anything, this defense is more complex and way harder to prepare for by any opposing offense. Remember, it's all about modularity. If any pressure can be run out of any front and packaged with almost any coverage, when you add up every possible combination that Minter has at his fingertips, he doesn't actually only have a couple dozen different calls in his arsenal, he has literally thousands of them.
Let's go nickel, 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 nickel.
By combining simplicity with flexibility, he makes his defense easy to learn for his own players, but nearly impossible for the offense to decipher. Or, in the words of Bucky Brooks, simple for us, hard for them. Let's take a look at some film from Minter's defense at Michigan, because seeing how this all works for yourself is probably the best way to understand it. This is a sack that Michigan got against UNLV last season on 3rd and 7 on what is known as a simulated pressure out of a load front. The call here, if I was going to use general terminology for this family of defense, is relatively simple. It's just load, tip, 6. Load is the front, tip is the pressure path, and 6 is the coverage, which is just normal cover 6, or quarter, half, for those of you who are not familiar with it. Now, this is called a load front because obviously one side of it is loaded up with bodies, and for a variety of reasons that I don't really have time to explain today, oftentimes that loaded side is going to be on the side that the running back is lined up on. And we'll get to why that's important in just a second, but all you really have to know for now is that it's important. And as for the simulated pressure part, it's called that because this looks like a blitz, but it's not actually a blitz. Only 4 guys are pass rushing, while the field side edge player drops into coverage. So again, looks like a blitz, but it actually isn't. That's why it's called a simulated pressure. The name of this pressure path is called tip, like I said before, and that is short for tackle pick, because this boundary side linebacker, Michael Barrett, is going to pick the inside hip of this offensive tackle in order to open up a lane for the boundary side edge rusher to loop inside. Now, Minter loves running tip out of this look for 2 reasons. Number 1, anytime you present a load front on defense, that's going to set off fire alarms for the offense. And a lot of the time, they're going to handle that with a slide from the offensive line into that loaded side so they can get 4 guys blocking 3. Think of it like the pass protection version of a panic button. But on top of that, number 2, Minter loves running tip from a load front because, again, that means most of the time the linebacker is going to be rushing from the side opposite of where the running back is lined up. This is a really hard angle for the running back to handle in pass protection. In fact, it's nearly impossible for him to get there to pick up just a normal blitz if the rush is well executed, let alone getting there in time for him to help the tackle once Barrett picks his hip. So as a result of this call, load tip 6, you have cover 6 on the back end, like we said, with a load front on the front end, and you have 4 offensive linemen sliding to handle only 2 rushers, because again, one of them dropped out into coverage. And on the other side, you have an offensive tackle that has absolutely no prayer of stopping a 2-on-1 and a running back that's in a completely hopeless position to help him out. Add all of that together, and that is how you get a nearly unblocked sack with only a 4-man rush and suffocating coverage behind it. I want you to process everything that you just saw there on that play. Really understand all the components that make up any given defensive call. Front, pressure, coverage. Because in this defense, you're going to see those exact same components rearranged over and over and over again. Just like this play later in the season against Maryland. This was also on 3rd and 7, and if you pay close attention, you're going to notice that the pressure that Minter dialed up here is the exact same one that he called against UNLV. Tip. However, this time he's running it out of a different front. This is what he calls a rush front, and the coverage is also different now as well. Instead of cover 6, it's cover 3. So the total call is just rush tip 3. That's it. It's super easy for the players to remember. It's the same pressure path with the same name, just the front is different and the coverage is different, but it works the exact same way. Every receiver is covered up and the whole back 7 has zone eyes on the quarterback. Former Wolverine and current Charger Junior Colson attacks the inside hip of the tackle to set up the loop inside from the edge, and he gets enough push on that tackle himself to flush the quarterback from the pocket, which of course starts a mad dash for the first down marker that the quarterback ultimately loses. That is a win for the defense. It was 3rd and 7 and they didn't get a first down, so Maryland ultimately just settled for a field goal. Alright, so you've seen a little bit of that modularity so far, and I think you're also getting a better understanding of why this system is so hard to prepare for, right? Because in theory, they can call that same pressure out of any personnel grouping, any front, package it with any coverage. It's just a nightmare for any offense to deal with. But here's where that nightmare gets worse. Because what makes this defense truly evil is not the fact that they can call that pressure anytime they want to. What makes it truly evil is the fact that they can make you think they're about to call that pressure anytime they want to, and then they just call something else. They'll line up in the exact same way, same load front, same personnel grouping, same down, same distance, same situation, same everything. And you think you've got them all figured out because you're an offensive coach at Alabama and you've been studying this look for weeks. Everything's on the line in this playoff game and you think you've got it dialed in. This is load tip 6. The linebacker's going to pick the tackle, the edge is looping inside, you're not going to take the bait, and so you're not going to slide into that load front. You're just going to let your guys handle it front side with even numbers, and you're actually going to make sure this left guard is ready and available to handle the pick. Protection's going to hold up, and so you're setting up this whole shot to the boundary because it's cover 6, and you know it's cover 6, and you got this. You have Jesse Minter dead to rights. Pop that champagne, boys, you're going to the Natty. Except you don't have Jesse Minter dead to rights. Because from that same look that you studied endlessly, he throws an entirely different simulated pressure at you out of nowhere, and you lose. Michigan isn't running a tackle pick here. They're bringing 4 rushers all from the field side, and Mike Sainristil was completely unblocked because Bama only had 2 blockers for 3 rushers. They thought they could get away with not sliding into that loaded side just this one time, and Minter punished them for it.
Pressure off the edge, and he is sacked again for the 5th time in this first half.
Once again, he can call any pressure or even any simulated pressure out of any pre-snap look. And as an offensive play caller, you're never, ever, ever going to know which one of those blitzes is coming or not coming.
It's not that they're beating guys with a pass rush who are in front of them. They're being out-schemed by the styles of rushes.
Modularity, folks, that's the name of the game, so learn it and love it, because a modern defense has to deal with everything. They get to deal with every wrinkle from every bag of tricks getting thrown at them every Sunday by every single offense they face. It's a tough gig playing defense in the NFL. But luckily for the Chargers, their solution to this problem is kind of simple.
See if Jesse Minter, the defensive coordinator, decides to bring someone from that second level and disrupt the timing of the quarterback.
They will fight everything with anything. And by that I mean, as a defense, if they're going to be the ones that have to deal with everything, then they're going to make you, the offense, have to deal with anything.
They bring pressure, Lance hit, and he is dropped.
4th and goal. Blazers picked off!
Oh, the Chargers defense comes up big.
And you see it, just the aggressiveness. Jesse Minter's really starting to cut these guys loose.